More than anything else, Baylor is about family. Perhaps the most unique members of this family have resided at the heart of campus for decades, the world's most beloved black bears. Stewarding God's creation by providing these bears with a home is the mantle Baylor has remained committed to since 1917, though it hasn't always been easy. Spanning generations, these bears are part of the Baylor family, and they each have a story of their own. This is one of them.
We've had bears on campus for over 100 years, and you think of anyone who does anything for over 100 years learns a lot along the way. And so I'd say, from our earlier stages of caring for bears to where we are now, we are where we should be as having bears for 100 years. The Baylor Bear Habitat mission has 3 pillars: stewardship, education, and conservation. And those 3 elements are foundational to our purpose here. We get to do a wide spectrum of things. It can be anywhere from just starting the morning with scooping a fresh pile of poop to prepping some of the best breakfast a bear can eat in the world.
They get all sorts of different kinds of yummy snacks for breakfast, and then they'll have some sort of enrichment. So usually throughout the day we'll have a presentation or take them to an off-campus facility or do something along those lines in the afternoon.
And then we go throughout the day monitoring them, make sure they get different levels of physical and mental activities so that they're living their best lives here. At the end of the night, bring them back in so they can cozy up and get a good night's rest before they do it all over again.
I was the first trainer for Lady. We got her in 2002, so 19 years ago. She really liked to chew. I actually had holes in the steering wheel on my car from her chewing on it. She was similar to the toughest dog you've ever seen. She just had a mischief about her that was just so much fun.
Lady's health journey is in a lot of ways to be expected for a 19-year-old bear. She's an aging geriatric bear. We like to say that her and Joy are in their golden years, so they spend time just a lot easier. They enjoy the sun a little more. They enjoy their strawberries and their yogurt and their fish a little more, and they just take it easy. It really wasn't until about June of 2019 where we started to actualize the realities of what it's like to have an aging golden year bear in our care. And that's when we took Joy and Lady both in for a routine veterinary examination.
Because of their age, they were becoming kind of geriatric. We wanted to get some blood work and some x-rays. And that's when we found, with Lady, the mass in her chest.
Really what I remember is being called into Dr. Hoppus's side room. Those calls that you don't like to get in the hospital where they say, "Can we talk to you in the side room for a second?" And I remember her identifying this mass in her chest that we were calling a thymoma. It was about the size of almost of my fist, and it was kind of snuggled up next to her heart.
What was unique about Lady's tumor was that, first of all, she's a bear. That's not something that we get to see every day as veterinarians. I think if we had caught it a month, maybe 2 months later, I think it would have been pressing up against her heart. I think it would have been pressing up her esophagus, and I think she would have had clinical signs from it.
Trying to decide between, should we do a surgical option if this is a tumor? Should we do radiation therapy? There were pros and cons with both.
We really had all hands on deck to really try to be able to not only give us a diagnosis, but to see what treatment options were potentially available. Just because they might be wildlife or wild animals doesn't mean that we can't offer them the same great care that we offer our other small animals, large animals, or humans alike.
The post-operative care and just the risks of surgery were too great. So we decided to go with the radiation.
we brought Lady back in, and we did 3 different days of tomotherapy, which was very comfortable for her. You know, the type of anesthesia we use has reverse anesthesia properties, which means she doesn't remember getting the anesthesia dose. She just remembers falling asleep and then waking up.
So not only was Lady the bear the first bear treated with tomotherapy, not only was she the first bear with a thymoma treated in an effective manner, but she's also probably the first animal that's received SBRT, or stereotactic body radiation therapy. This is going to advance veterinary medicine, and this kind of opens the field for many animals, and I think she's a shining case example of that.
And then we went back about 6 months later to measure the size of it, and it had shrunk significantly.
It seemed like the radiation therapy was successful in reducing the mass size to where she was very comfortable.
Coming out the other end after her 4th dose of radiation, seeing her bounce back so quickly and still continuing to thrive, and then 6 months later seeing that it had shrunk significantly was just such a reason for celebration. I mean, that in itself is miraculous, and it is unheard of. We really enjoyed that high for a while, and we were proud of the recovery she had made. We take detailed records on a daily basis of our bear's health and wellness, and it was really, really hard when she started to demonstrate signs of ailment again.
We started noticing signs with Lady that things were going wrong, even as early as mid-March, I would say. I remember just the gradual deterioration, especially in her back legs.
The more eyes that we had watching her, the more we realized something was kind of not right. It kind of started smaller with just like her acting a little bit differently, and that was really hard at first because she's definitely our more active bear and our more rolling around in the mud and climbing kind of bear, and she wasn't doing those things anymore.
Lady, you know, when she first started showing signs of that rear leg lameness, we didn't quite know if she was just going to power through and persist or if it was going to continue to deteriorate, and it continued to deteriorate, and it was alarming, and it happened fast, and we had to move fast to do something about it quick.
You know, I would get a text one day she was a little bit better, the next day she was a little bit worse. I would get a video where she kind of tripped over something, and that's when I started thinking there's more going on. And this was on like a Tuesday, and then on Thursday, Lady went completely down.
I remember getting a call from one of our student caregivers saying Lady is not getting up. And I remember sitting in my office on the phone with Dr. Hoppus and her having one of those honest conversations with me, saying that, Dakota, this might be the end for Lady. I think what's so hard about thinking that it might have been the end for Lady was not just because we'd care for her, but because we have a whole community that cares for her.
We all just kind of sat in this like silence and sadness because we didn't really know what to expect, and honestly we kind of prepared for the worst.
I wondered for a second, is she ever going to be in her enclosure again? Is she ever going to be in the habitat again? And the truth is we didn't know the answer to that.
So I called Texas A&M that day. We got her in the next morning for her MRI, determined that she had a mass that was compressing on her spinal cord, and she went to surgery that day.
When we found out about the spinal cyst, that was a major sense of relief, but it was still nerve-wracking. I mean, the surgery had never been performed on a black bear before, or a bear at all.
I also remember the drive to A&M and just how absolutely somber that morning was. It's the kind of morning where you don't even have the words or know what to say to each other. You know, we have this saying in the animal care world where every animal deserves as many good days as possible, and their last day should never be their worst day. And so these were the sorts of questions we were asking ourselves, knowing that we will always prioritize and choose our bear's best interest, always.
That drive to College Station was incredibly difficult. I was really grateful to be with friends and with people that I just knew I could rely on, because it was going to be hard no matter what.
At that point, we didn't know if this mass was cancer, if it was a cyst. We didn't know, so we were kind of going in blindly. They got down into where the lesion was, and it actually came out pretty easily. And he was able to remove it and then close everything. And at that point, we were just hoping that we would have a speedy recovery.
From the moment she got through the surgery, we knew she was gonna kill it. You could just tell that she was ready to fight, and that was probably one of the most powerful things that we got to experience.
We got her fairly well recovered to the point where she was at least looking at us, pulling her head up, and at that point we took her over to the Wildlife Center where we had a team that stayed with her 24/7.
I think the best thing about any animal recovery from surgery is monitoring them very carefully and having medical personnel that can help. Lady was monitored for any signs of pain. She was monitored for any discomfort. Her neurologic signs were monitored to see if she had any movement of her back legs, which is why she had the surgery to begin with.
For a while, she was just drinking liquids, and so we froze Gatorade in ice cubes, and so she could crunch on some, like ice chips. She could crunch on Gatorade ice chips. She loved the red Gatorade. That was just her favorite. We loaded up on some really good medication to keep Lady healthy. We had a really good recovery plan in place, and we just kind of cried together one last time because we had made it. She was coming back home.
It's hard to describe her recovery. It's hard to really paint a picture about what we've seen throughout this process. I remember going to the habitat in the middle of the night for about a month straight with other staff members and the team to check on her.
Our team had a renewed sense of energy and excitement, and we were really, really willing to do whatever it takes. And we would play Kelly Clarkson Stronger for her. We would pull out all the stops and just play whatever music we felt needed to get her motivated. I don't think she cared, but it did a lot for us.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive. With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head. With every star,
I remember the very, very first time where she got to all fours. We just cheered because we never knew each time what was going to be next.
Going from that stage and essentially bottle feeding her water and having to get food right next to her face so that she could eat, to where she is now, walking up and down her enclosure, going over hurdles, doing incredible work in physical therapy, and just looking over that journey. It's impossible not to have hope.
She has surprised all of us. She has really, really rebounded. Part of this is just Lady is an incredibly amazing animal. She is stoic and she is stubborn and she wanted to get well.
It took a village to get to this point, and there were so many moments where that village could have left. So many moments. But they never did, and I'm really grateful for that.
This is one of the most unique and special opportunities I'm ever going to have in my life, and to be able to help during this time is something I'll always remember and be able to look back on and say I did something in my life that's going to have an impact elsewhere.
No bear in the world has done what Lady has done. Month by month, we had some hopes and maybe some expectations, and month by month, she was ahead of it. She was ahead of the curve. I can't overstate how much we just didn't know if that was going to be possible, and how much we have Lady to thank for that. This tremendous spirit of grit and resilience. It's just unmatched by any bear, any animal care team, any veterinary team in the world. I'm convinced of that.
It's pretty amazing to see her come so far so fast and recover so well. She's like she used to be. She's a happy bear.
You all should get an award. You should get like a bear recovery award, and it should be displayed in your facility because you all just did an amazing job with Lady.
Yes, this is great medicine and great technology. This is a great team for Baylor, but Lady deserves, honestly, the biggest credit because she's the fighter here. And it took her will and her way for her to be able to go through this and get to the outcome she's at now. And I'm just super proud of her.
It's so important that we continue to care for our bears, that we continue to invest in the facility, that we continue to invest in the 3 core tenets of our program in conservation, education, stewardship. And in doing so, I think we are emblematic of our Christian mission, that we are honoring God through that service. And we are putting on display for the world that a part of who we are as Christians is caring for creation. And we have this incredible platform and opportunity to do that in such a tangible way with the Bear program.
It is amazing to see what Lady's been through for the last couple of years. Multiple surgeries, traveling back and forth to College Station to see the veterinarians, and then just the long recovery that she's gone through. So I think it just shows what strength and courage she has, and what a wonderful example and model it is for the Baylor family of the strength and resilience that we need to have as people and as an institution. So we're unbelievably proud of Lady and so happy to see her recovering fully like she has.
Lady's a miracle bear because she's defeated all the odds. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, she is doing incredible in her physical therapy. I mean, we were pushing her to lengths that even when she was fully healthy, she hadn't even necessarily explored sometimes.
Lady's a miracle bear because she has survived so many things with such a good spirit. She has just beat all the odds.
Lady's a miracle bear because she just has brought so much positivity amongst such a difficult year. And gosh, she's a fighter.
Lady's a miracle bear because she has displayed this sort of unheard of resilience. She has overcome obstacles that are far beyond the realm of possibility for a bear. Lady herself is the one who led us to where we are. She's the one who set the bar for energy and resilience, and it was our responsibility to match it.